started dialing at what time? Like 9, 11:14. We got a deal in.
He's 20-year-old life insurance broker. He basically just gonna give us a tour of his day, and he's gonna be lit, y'all. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment in the video, and let's go. So what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
So usually, first thing I do when I wake up,
Uh-huh.
first thing when I do when I wake up is I pray. All right, because I'm very thankful for every day that I have on earth. You know, because life isn't really guaranteed. So first thing I do, I wake up, pray. I have this Bible next to me. I'm not gonna lie, in the morning, sometimes I touch it, but mainly during the night is when I go through this. So I mean, that kind of rest right there. Bible, gotta have that.
Is that
Right?
very important to your schedule?
My routine, yeah,
routine.
absolutely, very important because without God, nothing happens.
Of course. Of course.
So after I do that, make the bed because I look at life as kind of like a video game. Have you ever played like Detroit Human or like, a game where you have to make decisions, like kind of like Until Dawn? You ever played something like that? So yeah, I feel like with everything that we do in life, it's kind of like a snowball effect. The more wins that you stack, the better your day will be. So having a clean bed is one of those wins that you can get, first thing in the morning. And if you start your day with a win, well, most likely the rest of your day is going to be followed by wins. All right. So after we make the bed, all right, we head over here to the bathroom, of course. All right. Now, I'm a man. My bathroom routine is not too crazy, right? I get up, brush my teeth. All right. Depending on my mood, if I'm feeling like very sluggish, I'll take a cold shower for like, 5 minutes or so, very short. 5-minute cold shower after I brush my teeth and whatnot. Got a little face care routine, nothing too crazy. Okay. All right, so this first.
One to some people.
Right, this first. All right, after we do that, we grab this right here. That's afterwards, and then after that, we got some oil just to kind of, give my skin that glow, that pop. You know what I mean? All right, and so after that, obviously, we use everything else here: deodorant, cologne, smell goods, all that good stuff. All right, and then most importantly, I should eat something. Gotta eat something. So
do you eat the same thing every day?
Nah, so I kind of try to switch it up because I feel like eating the same thing, it kind of I don't know, it kind of like it kind of gets too repetitive sometimes. All right, so I try to mix it up. Right now, I don't have too much in here, right? Because I just moved in here, but this is the main thing you want to focus on for breakfast. All right, it doesn't matter what I eat. Today I had waffles, hash browns, and eggs. All right. But every meal that I do in the morning has to include eggs. It has to. It has to. That's like because the protein. The protein, it just makes sense. And also, I just really like eggs. You know what I mean? That's just my favorite morning food. And then, yeah, I get dressed. I kind of clean up around the house a little bit because I like coming home to like a clean home. I feel like it kind of, it clears my mind. The cleaner my home is, the clearer my mind can be when I try to work. I usually get home about, 7, 8 o'clock ish. Again, I read my Bible. I watch a little bit of self-development on YouTube. If you see my YouTube page, you'll see all self-development. You won't really see any like brain rot content because I try to stay away from that. You're going to see people like Charlie Morgan, Alex Hormozy. You're going to see people that actually influence me and, add to my daily life and my routine.
Do you live by yourself?
Yeah.
You live by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. How is it like living by yourself?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm only about a week and a half into living by myself. I used to live with my girl. We had a place together. I'm still kind of adjusting to it, but so far I like it. I get to have the peace of mind that everything I do here is my own doing. Like I don't have to worry about anyone else's mess or worry about leaving a mess for somebody else to clean up. And overall, I feel like I have more time to myself to find myself. Because like when you're in a relationship, you don't really know yourself. You know the version of you that's in a relationship to please somebody else. With me living by myself, I get to kind of just, please myself, develop myself, really learn about like who I am as a person. and I get to focus on developing my relationships with my friends, family members a little bit more. Ever since I started living by myself, I feel like I've gotten closer with everyone around me. So I would say living by myself, definitely a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it, especially for young entrepreneurs, because you need that time alone to really figure out who you are and how to scale your business to the highest ability without worrying about someone else.
Okay, okay. And then what time do you usually like get to the office?
So I try to get there every day before 9:30.
Before nine
All
thirty.
right, so 9:30 every time.
Oh, so what time is it right now?
About 8.
About 8. So what time do you like usually leave?
Leave here.
Yeah,
I'll probably leave here at like 8:30.
8:30. Okay.
If I'm having like a really really sluggish,
Mhm.
morning, 9.
Okay, and then your day usually from like 9 to 8, usually at the office
Mm-hmm.
working.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of like deep work, but my schedule is a little bit different from the average person.
Mhm.
So since I'm 1099 insurance broker, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, usually from like that 9:30 windows, I get to the office, I dial from like 9 to 11. What I mean by dial is I call people for insurance that fill out requests and I respond to their requests. So that's about from 9:30 to 11. And then after 11 is when I kind of simmer down. I start sending out DMs, working social media, reaching out to people, making content like this. That 11 to like 2 window is when I do all the social
Mhm.
media stuff. And after 2 o'clock, it depends on how I feel. I may go grab lunch. Since I had a pretty decent breakfast, that can last me till like 1 o'clock afternoonish. So I might go get some food, and then right around 3, 4 o'clock is when I get back to dialing because that's typically when people are arriving home. That's typically when people are getting off their morning shift after they pick their kids up. That's just theoretically the best time to start dialing, anywhere from like 3 to 4 o'clock. And then I do that for about, a couple hours, get home probably like around 8 o'clock.
Okay, so you only really like you only really work about a couple hours a day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
But you also have that flexibility as well when you do insurance. You know what I mean? Like there's some days where, I plop on the couch like yesterday. No, not yesterday, Saturday,
Mhm.
sat on the couch. I was in a robe all day and I was dialing for a little bit and I made a sale. $500 in 37 minutes.
37 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
wow.
it really gives you that flexible schedule that you're looking for. And also, just that entrepreneur feeling like, you can wake up and create something and, make your own money. You don't have to really worry about, trading your time. You can really do this whenever you like.
Mhm.
Obviously, depending on who you are and where you want to be at, some people are going to do it at different levels. Some people like to, just work from home, make a sale a day or make a sale a week. Me personally, my goal is to build an agency. So I show up to the office because I want my team showing up to the office. I feel like I work better in the office. The environment helps me out a little bit. So it's a little bit different strokes for different folks.
Okay, and then that was gonna be my next question is, some people, once they see they get $500 in 37 minutes, they're done for the rest of the week.
Hmm.
So I was gonna ask you, what keeps you going? Like what keeps you pushing even though you just hit that big check?
Yeah, bills.
Bills?
Yeah, and bills. So bills, and also just wanting more for myself, I
Mhm.
guess. $500 to me now, it doesn't really get me too far. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like me personally, now that I'm by myself and everything like that, I like to hang out a little bit. Also, $500, that's my car. You know what I mean? Like $500, that's already my car. So now I have to go get another check because now I got to cover the car insurance. I got to cover the place. I got to cover this bill, that bill, that bill. So when you have bills and you have responsibilities and expenses, it kind of forces you to keep going. And then also when you're providing an example to a team, $500 isn't really going to change anybody's perspective on what you do. And also that's not going to make them want to follow you. You need to be making money, like, in the 5-figure ranges, especially if you want to start influencing people.
So do you think for young entrepreneurs that's out there right now, do you think they should put themselves in a predicament where they need to make enough money to where um to where they make more money?
That's a great question. So personally, I believe so, yes.
Okay.
All right. You have to put yourself in an uncomfortable
Okay.
situation. All right. Because with uncomfortable situations, it'll either make or break you. Kind of like that diamond saying,
Mhm.
diamond either, pressure either,
Pressure either
you
makes
know,
diamond
it's
or
either, yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
something like that.
It either, I forgot the quote, it either, makes diamonds or people fold, pretty
Yeah.
much. That's what the saying is. I feel like, if you're really a diamond in the rough, you'll be able to, use that pressure and, create a diamond. So I would say as an entrepreneur, maybe, have a few months where, you're making money, but eventually you need to increase your expenses, because if you don't increase your expenses, you're kind of in this state of mind where you're comfortable. You know what I mean? And to be comfortable later on, you got to make yourself uncomfortable in the beginning.
Um, it's about 8:05 right now. He's about to go to the office. We're gonna follow him to the office and then get him in action of him dialing calls and dealing with a team and marketing on social media. So it's gonna be exciting. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see y'all soon. So this is your brand new Mercedes Benz.
Yes, sir. I wouldn't necessarily say brand new.
Uh
This is my 19th birthday, but this is just something smooth for right now. I mean, insurance can do a lot more than just this.
huh. Uh
Next car probably gonna go GT63.
huh. GT63.
That's definitely the next car, or GLE 63.
Uh huh.
But ever since I got a Mercedes, I highly doubt I'll be switching to another car brand.
All right, so we're here at the compound, not office. Beautiful compound here in Tampa, Florida. So, Deshaun, take us through what you do to, as a life insurance broker.
So obviously, when I first walked in here, I greet every single person that's in here, all right? Because I feel like when you walk into a room, your energy is everything. So I greet everybody in here. I get my sword, get my armor, right? My shield and sword right here. All right, and I get to dialing. All right, so these are noise cancellation headphones. So when I put these on, I'm talking, they can't hear anybody around me except me. So these work extremely well for what I do. And also the MacBook, I mean, self-explanatory, best computer out there. So let's get to it. All right, so this right here is my lead sheet. So this contains like all the clients data that filled out forms with us. So again, people put in requests to speak with us about life insurance. Me, I get the information from buying the lead, and I simply just talk to them with the script. The script is kind of like a skeleton. It kind of keeps me on track, but for the most part, I simply just have a conversation with them.
How important would you say it is for you to keep a relationship with your client, like even weeks and months after, they say yes?
Yeah, so in the life insurance industry, there's something called chargebacks. And what a chargeback is, it's basically money that you didn't deserve in the first place. So for example, if you close a client and they cancel their policy 1 month later, well, you're gonna get hit with a negative debt balance because you get advanced 9 months of commission up front when you sell a policy. So for example, let's say I sell a policy for $100 a month. 100 times 12, that's 1,200 for a year. And then 75% of that, God, I don't know, but it's like 900, I think. So you get advanced at 900, but if the client cancels, then you have to pay that next from the next policy. You have to pay 900 back. So they don't come to your bank account and take it. So you get to reinvest it into your business, but the next policy you sell, 900 has to come out of that. So keeping a relationship with your client is extremely important. And then also for referrals, people run to people every single day, and the best marketing is word of mouth. So if I have a client that I did a really good job with, they're going to refer me to a friend. They're going to refer me to a coworker. So it's important for that reason, chargebacks. And then also like in life insurance, you have a very important role as an agent. You're basically dealing with a person's family, a person's family's financial future once they pass away. Like you play an extremely important role in that person's life. So I save my clients' numbers. Sometimes I get them on social media. I call them randomly, check up on their family and things like that. Again, because I play an important role. Anything else?
Um, do you, as a life insurance agent, personally, do you have a life insurance policy?
Yeah, of course.
At what point would you say like you really understood that this is something I need to put in my life?
Well, first of all, so I am 20 years old, but I do have a child. All right, he's 4 years old. His name's Future. And so Future, you know, I have to think about his future with every move that I make. So I know if something were to happen to me, I would want my son to be okay in the future. All right, so I personally have two different policies. I have an IUL and I also have a term policy. The reason why I did that is because I know I'm young, but life is unexpected. God forbid something happens to me too young, I want my son to be taken care of. My term policy is rather large. Again, though, it's a term, it's temporary coverage. It lasts 35 years. If anything happens to me within 35 years, he's going to get a large sum of money. However, the IUL, it builds cash value over time. So since I got that while I was young, the entire lifeline of that policy, it's going to be building cash value that I can use in the future for like emergencies, business purposes, a bunch of different things.
Relates to you or helps you, with business.
So I would say, even though I'm a younger dad, it still allows me to connect with my clients. So for example, if I'm speaking with a father, I kind of relate to him a little bit because my son's 4 years old. I don't care if your child is, 26 years old and you're a little older. You remember when your child was 4, 5, 6 years old. So I can relate back to you in that moment, right? So whenever I have a parent on the phone, I relate to them with my son. Also, I feel like with me being a father, I understand the importance of our product a little bit more than the average person. Because you guys right now, you guys might have life insurance, but you might not think it's that important because you don't have a child. You know what I mean? With me having a child, I understand the emotional attachment I have
Correct
to
me
my
if I'm
insurance
wrong, but
policy.
you've
I'm
been in
gonna make
sales
that
for a few
insurance
years
payment.
now,
I'm gonna make that
correct?
premium payment.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I've been in sales all my life, honestly. I mean, I feel like I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15 or 16. I had a clothing brand. I used to sell shoes, resell clothes. Um, I used to do just a little bit of everything.
Okay. So over the years of being in sales, what's one thing that you had to learn the hard way about, whether that be your tonality, the way you approach people, dedication, just some advice you would give your 15, 14-year-old self?
Focus on helping people and solving a problem rather than the money. Because I feel like when you're just money driven, you're really not going to get the results that you want. But when you focus on solving people's problems and actually helping people out, then that's when you'll see a difference in your sales. So when I was just in this for the money, which there was a point I was just in it for the money, um, it kind of it hindered my ability to actually sell because once I would get a check, it was like, okay, I'm up out of here. But now that I actually focus on the importance of helping people, it's a little bit different, and also my results are a lot higher.
Knowing that you're helping people makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like once you really believe in the product and what you do, and you believe in teaching others how to do what you're doing, it allows you to do the business a lot better. Yeah. Minutes. But what I want to do is I want to explain it to the best of my ability. That way, when you are in a more comfortable financial position, you know exactly what you're looking for. So, Tanya, an IUL is basically a life insurance policy that allows you to kill two birds with one stone. It allows you to leave something behind for your family. God forbid something happens to you too soon. But it also allows you to do a little bit of investing as well. So the money that's being invested, you're able to use for emergency purposes, sending your kids to school, buying a new car. The money that's building value in that policy, you're able to use for whatever you want. Does that make sense? I work with a lot of people on a daily basis. And for someone in your situation, could I just make a professional recommendation to you? All right. So my professional recommendation, based off of clients I've worked with previously, I recommend getting your foot into the IUL, getting your foot into the door of the IUL, because it's one of those things where if you wait till later, you'll pay greater because it goes based off your age and your health. So I've helped out clients where they started with as little as $50 into it just to kind of get their foot in the door. And then once they're in a more comfortable financial position, they increase their contributions over time. What that does is that basically it gives you the peace of mind, Tanya, if something were to happen, you're leaving something behind to your kids, but also it allows you to lock in a lower rate than if you were to wait. Does that make sense? Wait, Tanya, time out, time out. This isn't something that you have to pay for today. You know that, right? No. I'm not here to sell you anything. No, that's not how this works. So, Tanya, my job as a senior broker is basically to see if you can just get approved for it. Because Tanya, look, you've been seeing this all over TikTok, all over social media. Everybody's trying to get into it. However, not everybody can qualify for it. So my job as a broker is to simply walk you through the qualification process, which only takes about 8 to 10 minutes and is broken up into 3 steps. First, they're going to have you verify your identity by driver's license and social. This is how they check your driving history and your medical history without sending somebody out to you. And then number two, they're gonna have me set up your beneficiary information because Tanya, if anything happened to you, the insurance company wants to know exactly who to pay out and how to contact them. And then last but not least, since I only work with A plus rated carriers, they have us verify that you have a U.S. bank on U.S. soil, so like a Chase or a Bank of America or a credit union. You do have one of these types of accounts, correct? Okay, awesome. All right, and so what they're going to be looking for, they're going to look for any health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that. Next, they're going to look at your driving history and your criminal history. Oh my gosh! And yeah, I see that. God bless you. So Tanya, let me ask. I know this might be a little bit of a sensitive question, but if God forbid something happened that day and you really weren't on this earth anymore, what would you be leaving behind to the kids? Hmm. Oh my gosh. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So Tanya, what I want to do again, I don't have that much time. I just, had a little bit of time in between my appointments. But what I want to do for you is I want to take the next, 5 to 7 minutes to see if you can actually get approved for an IUL. And then what we could do is if you are approved, we can push the draft date out. That way you don't have to really worry about paying for it until, a week from now. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Yeah, I can set it. Well, actually, they only allow me to go up to 14 days. So that would be like let me see, 14. I think that would be like what, the 25th, I want to say. I mean, would that be okay still? Okay, I gotcha. All right, and so Tanya, kind of talk to me. What I want to do is I want to start walking through the approval process. What's an amount that if you left that behind to the three grandkids, your three kids, what would give you a peace of mind? Would you say like 100,000, 50,000, 100,000? Okay, gotcha. And all right, I just submitted it, so should only be a few seconds here. All right, Tanya, I got a decision from America. So I have some good news and I have some bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? It doesn't matter. Okay. So the bad news is, Tanya, that you're going to be stuck with me for life as your insurance broker. But the good news is that you did get approved. It's approved or no? Yes, it is approved. Okay, good. Yeah. What's the bad news? The bad news is that you're going to be stuck with me for life. Good. That's a good thing. Yeah, awesome. So, yeah, Tanya, you're gonna receive three forms of your policy. You're gonna receive a text from my.
You finally got a client.
Yeah.
Got a deal gun. So
Started dialing at what time? Like 9, 11:14. We got a deal in. This deal is $61 a month. This lady, she currently had no life insurance in place. She said that she had a near death experience not too long ago. And I asked her, well, if something happened that day and she, never saw this earth again, what would she leave behind to her kids? And she said absolutely nothing. And so from that moment there, I knew I was going to help that lady out. So she was paying $61 a month. Well, she's paying $61 a month. So you times that by 12, that's how much she's going to be paying for the entire year. That's what's called AP, annual premium. And then we get advance 9 months. All right, so 75% of that is 557. And then you multiply that by my contract level, which is 90%. So that's how much I would make in that sale. And that sale took me approximately, let's see here. That sale took me approximately 44 minutes. 44 minutes, correct.
you remind me what time it is?
11:14.
11, 14. So you made $500 and it's not even noon yet.
Mm.
A lot of people would go home, close out the day, be happy with $500. You mentioned before that you're probably going to stay here until 7, 8 o'clock. What makes you stay those extra 8 hours even after succeeding?
Well, again, bills. So it's bills, and then also like, I normally have a team of people here as well watching me and observing. So I feel like if I provide that example of, we're not satisfied with $500, I'm going to develop a culture of, people that aren't, satisfied by little money, and also, well, I wouldn't say little money, but just want more for themselves. You know what I mean? As long as I provide that example of, we don't go home after one close, then everybody that follows me will not go home after one close. And also, $500 is not a lot of money. It's not. $500 is my car. All right. So in conclusion, I mean, that's pretty much my morning. Again, go through the motions, shower, brush your teeth, essentials, get to the office, close the deal. Now we're grabbing some lunch, and we'll be fueled up for the rest of the day.
That's basically it for today, y'all. Who shot today? I appreciate you, brother, for showing us, his morning routine and things like that. So for the next video, we actually have a surprise. So we're actually getting onboarded onto his company. So we're actually going to show you the first 3 months of actually like to be an insurance agent. From ground zero to where he at right now. We're going to show you all. So I'm excited. Can't wait for that. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment what was your favorite part about the video. And we'll see y'all fellow boys tomorrow. Bring it down,